Hello, this is Sarah Braasch. Welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do a quick video about Jake Tapper in particular and CNN in particular and the accusation against the Trump campaign that they are perpetrating smear campaigns against Joe Biden. And I find this accusation to be just basically the epitome of hypocrisy. And the reason why I find this to be the epitome of hypocrisy is that, in particular, as pertains to myself, Joe Biden's campaign, and specifically his campaign co-chair, U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond, they have pushed race and hate crime hoaxes at the cost of the Living While Black movement and the life of an innocent civil rights activist, myself. And the reason why they did this was simply because it was an opportunity for them to smear Trump. It was an opportunity for them to smear Trump. And actually, in recent months of this year, 2020, Joe Biden's campaign almost drove me to suicide multiple times by smearing me in the press multiple times while they were pushing race and hate crime hoaxes like napping while black at Yale. And they were doing this for moral outrage, industry, profit, and gain. But they were also doing this for political reasons. And they were doing this because they were using it as an opportunity to smear Trump. And they didn't care if they got an innocent civil rights activist killed. They didn't care that they were putting my life in grave danger. They didn't care that they were driving me to suicide. They didn't care. They couldn't care less. They also couldn't care less about Black people in the U.S. They couldn't care less. They couldn't care less that they were destroying the Living While Black movement. They couldn't care less. They couldn't care less that they were destroying innocent persons' lives. They couldn't care less that they were undermining the U.S. Black social justice movement by perpetrating and propagating and perpetuating race and hate crime hoaxes like the napping while black hate crime hoax at Yale. And they were doing this to smear Trump. All they cared about was smearing Trump. I am a lifelong human and civil rights activist and a licensed attorney who had dedicated her life to fighting oppression. And do you want to know what U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond said about me in Yahoo News and in the fake news press? He said that I have an extreme ideology. I guess civil libertarianism is an extreme ideology to Joe Biden's presidential campaign and his campaign co-chair, U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond. I guess civil liberties and civil libertarianism and civil liberties, including due process and free speech, is now considered an extreme ideology by Joe Biden and his presidential campaign and his presidential campaign co-chair, U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond. So I guess apparently civil libertarianism they now consider to be an extreme ideology. So they said that my extreme ideology, that I was motivated and that I feel comfortable pushing my extreme ideology at Yale because I'm motivated by Trump and I'm motivated by Trump's racism, and that's why I perpetrated racist actions at Yale. This is what U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond said in a piece, specifically in a piece written by Yahoo News White House correspondent Hunter Walker. Now, when I contacted Hunter Walker and I told him that your piece almost drove me to suicide, he didn't even respond. He ignored me. You know why he ignored me? Because he couldn't care less. He couldn't care less if he gets an innocent civil rights activist killed. He couldn't care less if he destroys the Living While Black movement. And the same goes for U.S. Representative Cedric Richmond. He could not care less if he destroys the Living While Black movement. He couldn't care less about Black people in the U.S. He couldn't care less if he gets an innocent civil rights activist killed and drives her to suicide because it was an opportunity to smear Trump. All he cares about is having an opportunity to smear Trump. That's all Joe Biden's presidential campaign cares about. So the fact that Jake Tapper and CNN accused Trump's campaign of pushing smears against a smear campaign, perpetrating a smear campaign against Joe Biden, is the height of hypocrisy. It is ludicrous. It is asinine. And that's all I have to say, really. So maybe if Jake Tapper and CNN, and let's talk about CNN for a moment, shall we? CNN is responsible in no small part for destroying the Living While Black movement. All CNN cared about was smearing Trump. And even Don Lemon on CNN, when he was discussing the Living or Napping While Black hate crime hoax at Yale, he used every opportunity to smear Trump. He said that I was motivated by Trump's racism, and that's why I'm a racist, and that's why I tried to lynch Black students at Yale because I'm a genocidal villain, and now I feel free to be genocidal because I'm motivated by Trump and Trump's racism and Trump's racist rhetoric. And that's what's motivating my extreme ideology of civil liberties. So Jake Tapper needs to realize that he is making an absolute fool out of himself by accusing Trump's campaign of pushing smear campaigns against Joe Biden. All CNN does is push race and hate crime hoaxes. They are largely responsible for the great racism scare of 2018 and 2019 that almost cost me my life. And the reason why they did this is to take every possible opportunity to smear Trump for moral outrage, industry, profit, and gain. So it is completely insane to me that Jake Tapper and CNN would make this accusation against Trump's campaign. It is completely insane to me. And so the reason why Jake Tapper and CNN said this is because Donald Trump Jr., he jokingly accused Joe Biden of being a pedophile. Now, there actually exists copious video evidence of what is pretty obviously inappropriate behavior towards women and young girls by Joe Biden. So even though it did seem to be that he was saying it as a joke, which is what he's said since that time, it seems to be, that there's quite a bit of evidence backing up that claim. And now Donald Trump Jr. is saying, why don't the media outlets like the New York Times and CNN just let the video speak for itself? So that's what instigated this attack by Jake Tapper and CNN against Trump's campaign when they said that they were perpetrating smear campaigns against Joe Biden. So if anyone's perpetrating a smear campaign, it's Joe Biden's campaign perpetrating a smear campaign against Trump. They will do anything and everything, and CNN. And it's CNN and the New York Times and the entire moral outrage industry They don't care who they get killed. They don't care how many innocent lives they destroyed. If it's an opportunity to smear Trump, they will take it, even if it's nothing but lies, fake news lies, and they are fake news liars. And that's what I wanted to say, especially to Jake Tapper and to CNN. So anyway, thank you so much for watching my video, and please support me. I'll have my PayPal me and GoFundMe links below. Please support me so that I can sue CNN, so that I can sue Yale, and so that I can sue the New York Times and the entire moral outrage industry. We are going to restore civil liberties on college campuses, including at Yale, including free speech and due process, and we are going to stop the moral outrage industry from getting one more innocent person killed. I love you all so much. Thank you so much for your kind words and support. They mean absolutely everything to me. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.